Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. It's very strange I can't see anyone and doing this training. I hope you are all relatively warm where you are. Down here in KZN, a little bit easier, but it is a cold day.
Hi there.
Hi, good to hear some voices, to know that I'm not talking to myself. Thank you, Nina.
Okay.
Hi, Lynn from Cape Town.
Hi there.
I'm just going to wait a little bit more for everyone to join us. It might be a little bit late. So I think we'll give them until about 12:05, and then we can get started.
It's Lynn's fault that it's so cold.
What did Lynn do?
It's the Cape Town people that are freezing us out.
Oh, poor Lynn.
We've got a lovely warm day today.
Okay.
Warm weather's on its way.
Don't tell us that, Lynn.
Hello, is anyone there? It's suddenly gone
Hello.
dead.
Oh, sorry. I'm just waiting for everyone to get here. Sorry if you...
Okay, no worries.
We're all just quietly waiting for someone to get here. I'll be doing a whole lot of talking and you'll be getting tired of my voice, but by the end of this, hopefully I can make it interesting enough for all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you want to entertain while we wait until 12:05, you're welcome to sing us a song. I will not. I do not have a voice for it. Otherwise, we'll just sit here quietly wait. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like to ask me before we get started, also please feel free to do so.
I'm going to ask you a question that I asked yesterday, and I was told to mention it to you today. With regards to the VAT of a supplier, not shown on our invoices, but we attach the actual supplier invoice to our invoices. There is a rule that we are not allowed to do that. A lot of the clients want it, but if you send the hotel account, then you're not allowed to. That's according to SARS and also the letter that you guys sent us.
So you're saying that if there's VAT on the supplier invoice and we're showing VAT on our invoice as well, that we're not allowed to.
Yeah.
They can't claim it twice, you know, from the invoice that's attached. Basically, all we're doing, and you can change your setting where you can show it as disbursement VAT. So it'll only come through.
Yeah.
That's it. So they can't claim on our invoice as well as on the supplier invoice, because that would be, you know,
illegal, of course.
Yeah. So it's different per client, because some clients like to see that the VAT is shown on the invoice, and they understand that the VAT that we're showing is, because we're agents, is only on behalf of the supplier. And for example, like on an air ticket, there's no VAT invoice that they'll get from the airline for domestic, or even for that portion of the airport taxes that are VATable. Therefore, quick software, or sorry, not quick software, let me rephrase that, the agency invoice is what they use to then claim the VAT, and that is on behalf of the airline. And the same thing with a supplier. And that's why I know a few years back, SARS required that we had the VAT number for your client on the shown on the invoice, as well as the VAT number of the supplier, thereby eliminating where they could claim VAT twice. It was their thing. So I don't know if you remember, if you've been around as long as I have, with the dinosaurs, that we all had to go in And QuickTrade had to phone you for that grudging phone call to say, please update your suppliers, because it was a VAT regulation by SARS to say, we now need to have the VAT number for your client as well as the VAT number for the hotel shown on the invoice that you issue.
Okay, so if you put it as a disbursement VAT, then it doesn't affect your VAT at all.
No, and either way, it doesn't affect our VAT. That VAT that you show on the invoice that is from the supplier is not our VAT. It doesn't affect us. Well, it doesn't affect the travel agency. The only VAT that you deal with is the VAT on the commission that you earn. That's the only VAT that goes across to the general ledger, and that is your output VAT, and that is the VAT that you then are liable to pay over to SARS.
So we might as well then show it on the invoices.
You can show it, yeah, absolutely. You're just showing it on behalf, because remember, you're just an agent issuing that invoice on behalf of the hotel to your client. You haven't purchased that hotel room or that flight or anything.
All right, cool. That's my question. Thank you.
Hello, Deirdre. She's being silent.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry. Hello. How are you?
All right, and you? How's Joburg?
Freezing. Listen,
sorry.
No, I just want to say, guys, you probably got the best trainer. She doesn't train a lot, but when she does, I always enjoy her sessions. I always learn. You probably got one of the best, if not the best trainer. You need to send emails and say, we want Sylvia, we want Sylvia. Because this woman knows everything. Anything you think of, she knows.
You're too kind, Deirdre. Too kind. Thank you.
It's absolutely just the truth. So I just literally came in here because Namandi's bombed out this morning. So I'm like, oh, please, Lord, let this not be another problem. But it seems to be going well. So I'm just here in case everything goes down, so I can tell you that you sound like a computer or something. I will now shut up.
Thank you. No, I appreciate having you as a backup, and definitely from such an awesome compliment. I thank you, and equally people are lucky to have you around, because you're an awesome co-host and you have so much knowledge. When it comes to technical stuff, Deirdre is the lady that you want to speak to. I have none of that. Give me numbers.
I second that.
Okay, I think it is now 8 minutes past. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the training. So as far as VAT reports, and please slow me down. My son always complains that I either speak too fast or I speak too loud whenever I have a phone attached to my ear or a microphone. So feel free to slow me down or ask me any questions. So basically with the VAT, I've always looked at it from starting at QuickTrade from 3 areas that we look at getting our reports from. But the invoicing side is the first area that I start, and it's from a reasonability checkpoint that you generate this report and you make sure. And that's why a lot of times when we do the setup, especially of the service fees, where previously people would have said, well, and we'd still advise to differentiate between what is domestic and what is international, so that when you go and look at this report in this printout, when you look at what is domestic and what is international, what is zero and what is what income has got VAT, it's quite easy to see. It's just a reasonability check that you're doing to make sure that everything you have invoiced out, especially with regards to service fee, you have correctly claimed VAT on that, whoever has been invoicing, that nothing has been left out. Because as good people, we don't want our government to lose out on any money. So in order to get this first report, you're going to go into your inquiries, you're going into your invoice line items. Please excuse my date. I have, because I don't train enough, higgledy-piggledy stuff kind of thing. So you'll see I'm back in 2018, which I'm sure a lot of us wish we were back.
Sylvia, is it possible to make the screen a bit bigger?
No, I'm at full,
Okay.
this one
Yeah.
here,
I just want to see.
Like
oh,
that?
no, don't
Okay.
worry. It's quite
Can I
small
quickly
on
jump? Let me tell you, at the top, do you have something
Yeah.
that says view options?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go down to view options.
Yeah.
And then in the zoom ratio, you can go and set it to bigger or smaller if it's a bit too small for you. You can do 50,
got
100,
it.
10. Sorry,
Got
I
it.
just discovered
Sorry,
that
Mum,
the other
thank you.
day and I thought, I'm
Thank you.
sharing. So
Okay, cool. Thank you.
see, this is why we need Deirdre there. She's a seasoned Zoomer, unlike me.
it's probably the only thing I know about Zoom, but yeah, let's just go on.
Every bit helps. So we go here. The first thing you would do, obviously, then is select your period. So you would do it for the 2 periods that you're doing your VAT. So say if it's January to February, you would go here and then change the dates. Then you come down here, and this is a report that is saved in everyone's system. As soon as QuickTrav was installed, these was one of the reports. So you'd click on your open, you'd go to your system queries, you'd click on your turnover VAT commission analysis, click on open, and then you simply go build and view. Then gives you the report, and all I do then is I right click and export that view into Excel, which QuickTrav very beautifully does for you. Now, please bear with me as I change my screen share so that you can actually see the Excel spreadsheet. If you will just give me a second. Okay, so when I open it up in Excel, can you see it, or is it not sharing it?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Let me go see again. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically what I then do is that I take the, just apply a little formula. You can see that my VAT report is clearly a very old one because it's sitting at 14%. So all I do is the formula here to make sure that everything that should be, should have VAT applied to it is at the correct VAT percentage. If you have service fees and you don't have, if you haven't differentiated them between your domestic and international, what I would then do is expand on the report in your invoicing module, and then just check that that it is correct that you have what you have done. I would go into a few of the service fees and just do a reasonability check and say, okay, well, if it's 0%, was that in actual fact an international ticket? So the formula that I just apply is I just take the agent VAT column and I divide it by the commission. Okay, if it's sitting at 14%, then I know that everything I've invoiced out, I have applied the correct VAT percentage, because you don't want to have, if it's international or domestic, not have applied it. I've always just done that as my starting point for my VAT return to make sure that everything invoiced out, all the commission is correct. I can, if I go, sorry, so I just copy that formula down to the bottom and I make sure that everything is correct. Obviously, where you have a 0% VAT because it's international, if there was insurance, the turnover you make there or the commission that you make there is obviously non-vatable, so it would be at 0% as well. Okay, just going back now to my report. I just want to change my share. Okay. As I said earlier, if there was a service fee here where you had to say, okay, well, some of it, it's sitting at 8 point something %. What you can then do is go into here where it's saying group summary, and then you can say, I want to see the current group. then if there were any that were sitting at 0, all I would do is I would drill down. If I double click on that line, it brings me up to the invoice, and I can have a look at it and say, for example, if this was international, then I could say, okay, well, it's an international ticket, so it makes sense that that's sitting at 0%. Then even though your report, your Excel spreadsheet might look skewed, as in it's not showing us everything at the 15%, you know.
Sorry, someone's talking in the background.
Oh, sorry, there is someone on a phone call. I'm not in an office all alone, but I will kick him out. He's leaving now. I apologize.
Sorry.
Sorry, so as I was saying, so you're just doing this for a reasonability check and making sure everything. So if there is a part of that Excel where it's showing skewed, as long as you go into it and check, okay, well, everything that's throwing off my percentage is not sitting at 15%, which is because there is a mix of international and domestic. Obviously, the way to eliminate that is to set up your service fees as international and domestic so that the report then looks 100%. Okay, so that's the report that I pull out initially from invoicing module. The next one that I go and look at is then my main module report. Okay, so if you'll just bear with me while I go into the main module and change my share. Okay, so here in main module, the report that we're pulling is generated from queries. We go down to your management queries, VAT report. I then put in the dates that I'm doing this for. So if you're doing it from January to February, you would change those dates, and then you can click on print. Okay, I'm just going to maximize the report. So I just need to change here. Okay, so the first bit of this report, just to explain, is the invoice summary. So basically what the top bit is telling you is it looks at what you have invoiced out, and it separates what you have selected as standard, that's got output VAT, and what you have invoiced out and selected, and it's normally going to apply to your international, your service fees that are international. So everything that's 0 rated, it'll separate and it'll show you what has been invoiced, what is from credit notes, and what your total income, what is your VAT from that income invoiced, and what is from the credit notes, and therefore the difference between your invoice VAT and your credit note VAT will be the total VAT, which will go to your 950,002, which is your output VAT account. Then the second part of this report is then to do with main module. So if there's then any additional receipts that have come into your bank account where you have not invoiced out that commission, and that you've now recorded that receipt and claimed VAT on it because it was additional commission that you received from either a hotel or from a car hire company where you haven't invoiced it out. So it will analyze anything that you have done in main module, whether it's a receipt, whether it was a journal, maybe you were writing something off and it affected the VAT account. It would then show that up here. So the first part is the invoicing module. So you'll see that ties into that 10964 under VAT, under that invoicing module summary. Then under your main module, if you've captured anything, for example, when you were capturing to input VAT as well, so that would be all your expenses, and every time you claimed VAT on that, whether it be bank charges, bookkeeping fees, your rent, your telephone, that'll come under that input VAT section for one main module. Receipts, that's now under one main. If you've done any receipt where you've claimed VAT, that will then show under the output VAT section because it's obviously income, and it'll show underneath there. Then the next one is your, it would be different bank accounts. So it'll then go through the same thing. What affected your input VAT, so relating to expenses, what related to your output VAT, obviously relating to additional income that you received. Okay, if we go down here, then it gives you the general ledger summary. So it then looks at your general ledger and compares what is now in your general ledger, if there's been anything additional that you've captured in general ledger relating to your income, the output VAT or the input VAT, so any expenses or any income additional where you've claimed VAT. This here, I'm just going to explain the two differences. Obviously, if you're on one main light, you might not have anything additional coming in from deposits or bank items because you'll capture everything in your one main full because your cash book is sitting in one main. If you're on light, the only thing that you'd be capturing in main module is obviously your receipts. Your cash book is sitting in general ledger, so all that input VAT or anything else would come through, and your anything to do with your bank would obviously all be captured in general ledger. Okay, so this is just a general ledger summary of what has come through from one main and input, and what has come through from one main into the general ledger, the 950.002, 950.001. And from this report, this is, so it gives you the totals, and the total VAT, that 167707, should be the amount that, in this case, would be a refund that SARS would owe you. Then the next line is it goes into detail what has been captured and the source of where it has been captured. So these BSI and DEP are obviously stuff that has been captured on your transactions in general ledger. So that's just the code for that transaction type that has been set up in general ledger, and we'll look at it when we go into general ledger. BK2 is obviously the bank account that has been set up in one main. So that's the reference that it's been given, BK2. So it runs through your input VAT, all the transactions that have come through, and your output VAT. Then it does WTM, receipts, invoices, and credit notes. Obviously, the total amounts that have come through that have gone into your output VAT account from one main into general ledger. Okay, if there's any differences, these would be listed here. The reason mine has differences is because my books are all very higgledy-piggledy, and a little bit here and a little bit there. Yours should have no differences. It might be that if there is difference, something requires a post across or whatever, if you are not sure, you can always contact Quick Software and they can help you with why is there difference, because there should be no exceptions. It should be balanced. This report 100% to what is in your 950.001 input VAT and 950.002 output VAT. Okay, if you invoice everything, every additional income that you receive, what this report gives you should be 100% what you can use to complete your VAT 201 account. However, if there is commissions that you receive that you just capture via the bank account and you have not invoiced out, we then need to move over onto the general ledger in order for your total income to be correct. Because on this report, the income that it gives you is only based on the income that you have invoiced out. So if there is additional income that you have receipted via your either general ledger or one main, because of monies you received into your bank account, you then need to go into your general ledger, look at your trial balance so that you can get the total income that you have received for those two periods. Because obviously this here only accounts for income from the invoicing module, even though the report will give you your totals of your VAT correct, but not your income. Okay, so then my next port of call would then be to go on to my general ledger and then have my look at my income there. So what I do, let me just quickly change my share so that you can see the general ledger. Okay, so what I then do is I go into my general ledger, I do an inquiry, I check my TB, and now I'm going to print so that I get the total income for that period. I then, so if I was doing it January to February, the reason I use the TB is because the TB gives you the total of the income for those 2 periods. If you print a general ledger, it's going to just, you're still going to then have to go minus the last month, the opening balance from the closing balance. TB gives it to you nice and add it up. I limit my TB to only my income accounts. So however many income accounts, I then limit it. Obviously, you don't include interest because that is not VATable. I then click on Browse, and this gives me my total income for that period. What I then do is, because I'm going to use this in order to do my VAT, I export it across to my, into Excel. Click on OK. So I right-clicked. I'm hoping I'm not going too fast. I go right-click, which obviously does the little magic of being able to export across to Excel. I say Export Current View, and I click on OK. And then my Excel will open on that side. I'm not going to go show you the Excel just yet, just so that I can show you the other reports that I then generate. So then I cancel and close there and cancel here. Then I go into inquiries. I go to General Ledger. And then for those same periods, I then print out my input and output VAT account. Obviously, if you're using One Main Light, you would have to do this as well. Just print out these, or for One Main. Even though I use One Main Full, so for either or, I go and generate these reports. Maybe it's because I've always learned how to do it this way. I just feel this is my comfort zone of doing. It then gives me, starts off with your output VAT, and this should balance back to that report that we had printed from main module, your VAT report. Okay. I also always check to make sure if you are not the same person that's doing the VAT, that is the person that has captured, that I go through and I check that everything that has been captured has been correctly captured, that there's no one, no entertainment charges or something that is showing here an input VAT that I know is a non-VATable expense. Then the next is my input VAT. Then what I do is I right click and I export this to Excel as well. And I click on OK. Okay, so those are all the VAT reports that I generate in order to do my VAT 201. Okay. So now if you'll bear with me just for a second, and I'm going to show you the Excel spreadsheets. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this little spreadsheet myself. Okay, so I'm hoping you can all see this. I just want to confirm you can all see the TB printout of the income. See, perfect. Okay, so then what I do here is now I'm using the report that is my TB printout, and I'm now working this back because I've claimed additional, I've received additional commission, which I have not invoiced out. So what I do here is when you get, I'm just going to delete here, I'm going to take my output VAT figure, I'm going to divide it by 15 and multiply it by 100. And that should give me my total inclusive turnover without VAT included in that turnover, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go check what my total VAT is for that period. You'll just bear with me. Okay, and that I'm going to, let me just change my share. So it'll be that figure over there, which will be my total output VAT. And you'll see that per deposit DP2 and DP3, which are my deposits for my bank accounts in general ledger. There's those other two referral commissions that I've received, which this would reflect in my report from main module. However, the turnover or commission amount would not reflect on that report from main module. So what I now do is I look at that 11040, I go back to my printout for my TB total income, and I'm going to do that divided by 15 multiplied by 100. Okay, so that is of my total income, that is what my inclusive turnover is. But the figure that you then need to put into your VAT 201 is that figure that you worked out there, plus you add what your total output VAT is. So if you go plus 1110.4, okay? So that is the VAT figure that you would then put in your VAT 201. The system will then work back, and it should give you then that your VAT will be 110.40 as your output VAT. Then to work out your exclusive or your zero rated, I then take my total turnover or my total income, and I subtract this figure here. The reason I don't use that 851307, because obviously that has got VAT included, and in order for your VAT 1 to work out and SARS to work out, it needs to have the total income including VAT. However, our total income per the income statement does not have VAT. So that's why the figure that I subtract the total VAT from is the one without the VAT added. I hope I've made sense. So I take the total minus what I've worked out to be my inclusive turnover, and the figure that I get left behind is my zero rated VAT that I would then put into the VAT 201. The last figure, obviously, that you're going to be putting then into your VAT 201, if I go back, sorry, let me just change my share, is then your input VAT that you put into your VAT report. It then works out, and I always do a little sum here. I take my total, total input minus my, total output minus my total input, and that would then be the refund, or if it was my output was greater, would be what I owed SARS. And I always make sure that balances out. Sometimes what happens when you put in the total inclusive, there's a few cents difference between what the working out figure and what SARS then converts it back into. And in order to balance it to zero, I'll normally play around a little bit with the input VAT and either increase it or decrease it so that the end result is exactly the same. And that's it. Then the last thing that I do is I go back into the general ledger and I will do my journal for my VAT for that month, where you, so I'm just gonna, share back to the general ledger. Okay, so you would just go back into your journals and then just capture the VAT for that period, where you're going to credit, I can't remember the figures exactly, your 950 output VAT account, and debit your output VAT and the balancing figure. And you can either, wait, I'm just going to use that. Sorry, I haven't created. You can either have set up as two different accounts, where you can have a 950,003, which is, you can call it VAT payments due when you owe SARS, and a 950,004 where SARS refunds due. So you can separate them, and that'll either be a debit or a credit to that account. And that should balance either the payment that you make out to SARS or the money that you'll receive back from SARS. And that is everything as far as the reports that you require and how to do your VAT return. Are there any questions?
Sylvia, I just typed my question. It's going to quick software.
Oh, sorry.
I just said, are we wrong to write the rounding cents difference to a rounding account?
No, I just found the way that I was taught was just to manipulate that 950,002 so that it balances out, if I'm answering it correctly. I would just change that 950 so that your output VAT, and that's normally where the difference is going to be, at the end result is the same. Your journal will be as per what, so the figures that when you capture your journal will be exactly as per what you worked out. So you don't worry that SARS changed those figures a little bit, you know, because your end result is going to be it's just the rounding. The journal, if you want to do a journal, I'd say it's fine. I was taught by an auditor, accountant, whatever, that just manipulate that output VAT, because the input VAT, because it's going to have the same end result. And I don't think SARS is going to come and say to you, you know, if you decreased it by 2 cents or 3 cents kind of thing, your end result, what you owe them or what they owed you, is going to be exactly the same. And it's just cents. It's, you know, it's just because of rounding.
Yeah, it is. It literally is just a few cents. And then that 950,003, I see, call it VAT control. So that, you know, especially when their year end runs over like February, March. So figure forward in that VAT control account for the books, you know, year end. Is that correct? Having it as a control account? If you are you saying you journalize to that control account, it is, because it is, it is fine to have it there, because that's what you, when your auditors look at it, that's what you owe, and they normally
will have it showing as one account, you know, you either owe or don't, and it should balance. So yeah, that is 100%.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Just, if everyone will bear with me, I was not looking at my messages. So is there anyone else? I see what happens when your VAT return over February, March. Then what you do, sorry, Daniel, this is Daniel that asked me as a question. What you then would have to do is that you would print out the February, and then you would print out the March, and then have to, and this is for your income, and then you would have to add those two together. So you would have two TBs, one for February, one for March, add those two together so that you would get your total income. Then you will, if you don't do any journals, whatever, obviously your VAT 950-001, you input and output VAT, they are balance sheet accounts, so the balance will carry over. So you just make sure that February agrees to the opening balance of March, and the total figure, you'll do the exact same working out that I did. You take the total that's sitting at March, that'll be your total output VAT for the 2 periods, and then you do that same divided by 15, subtract the total from the bottom. So it's only your TB income accounts that you have to print for the 2 periods. Obviously, you need to check February input to make sure everything's been correctly captured, that your figures all balance back. I hope that answers your question properly, Daniel. Linda, I think that this is all recorded, Deirdre, and that if you need to have a look back at any of the stuff or catch up on, I think they're uploading it to the social media website, so you can hear my lovely voice all over again.
It's a voice you want to hear all over again. I think if anybody's going to watch this over and over again, it's going to be everybody at every VAT return. We definitely, I'll upload this. I'm going to, for me, this is one of the most important ones. So I'll put that on preference. So probably by the time this is finished, hopefully I'll have it up by later this afternoon, depending on YouTube taking their sweet merry time to upload it. But we'll definitely upload it, and then we'll have links on Facebook, our website, and we will probably send out an email towards the end of the week just to say, guys, these are the ones we've uploaded. Go help yourself. Here's the link. But it will definitely be uploaded, promise.
Thank you very much.
No, it's a pleasure. And then just sort of, because I've encountered, and I'm not sure if any of you will encounter it because of our lovely COVID-19, but if you do, I don't want to bog everyone down, but if you do have a question that there's that your VAT return looks incorrect, because a lot of you might have done refunds and stuff and income might not be as much, or some cases even in a negative situation, and you need help with how you account for that, because you now owed a much bigger refund from SARS, because you might have had to refund. Please give me a shout and I'll be happy to show you how that wonderful VAT return might be done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Linda, should I say, do you possibly want to email me and then I can chat to you about your question? Let me just see. Yeah. Thank you, Matt, everybody. And I look forward to chatting to you again. Thank you, Deirdre, for organizing this. And I'm sending you all very warm thoughts from KZN.
Okay, keep well and warm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Sylvia.
Thank you, Deirdre. Thank you.